Oh, ow.
Yep. What do you think happens if someone hits your car, but they don't have insurance?
Let's see.
Do you really need uninsured motorist coverage on your auto policy? A recent study showed that 1 in 8 drivers is driving around without insurance. Despite 49 of the 50 states in the United States requiring people to have auto insurance, 1 in every 8 doesn't have auto insurance? That's just. So I'm gonna let you be the judge. What do you think happens if someone without insurance hits you? First, before you answer, let's talk about what uninsured motorist coverage actually is. So uninsured motorist coverage is coverage that you add to your auto policy that basically will pay for your bodily injury or your own vehicle's property damage if someone without insurance hits you, so that you don't have to come out of pocket for medical bills and stuff like that for yourself and also other passengers in your vehicle. But one thing that's not really talked about a lot is that it's not just uninsured motorist coverage, but also underinsured motorist coverage. One of my family members a couple of years ago was hit by a young man who was driving with state minimum coverages. This was in another state where I can't write insurance. Otherwise, the following would never have happened. The young man hit my family member. It was a really, really bad wreck. And although physically injured, frankly, after seeing the picture of the wreck, it's a miracle that they are even alive. Because that driver that hit him was basically driving around with the minimum amount. So they actually had insurance coverage, but they're driving around with the very minimum amount of coverage required by the state. Those bodily injury liability limits of the at-fault driver who hit my family member ran out like that, basically during the first day of the hospital visit. Several years later, that family member is still paying out of pocket for the injuries that they had due to that accident. At the time, they had coverage that wasn't very adequate. You see, almost all the time I see folks uninsured motorist coverage, and it's basically state minimum limits. So basically they're paying more of their insurance to protect someone else than they are themselves. And I don't think it's their fault. I think basically they just don't understand what that coverage is for. And I think a lot of people think of it as some kind of crazy add-on coverage. But the fact of the matter is, it's a coverage that is a very inexpensive way to protect you, your family, and frankly, the passengers that may or may not be related to you in your vehicle if you're hit by someone that's not only uninsured, which again, remember, 1 in every 8 drivers out there is uninsured, but also if they're underinsured. Lastly, one thing that you need to think about, if you have an umbrella policy, keep in mind that that umbrella liability limit adds on top of whatever your selected liability limits are, again, for the other person. There are several companies that offer excess uninsured motorist coverage that adds an additional $1 million or more if you select it to your uninsured motorist protection. I hope this makes sense to you. It's an important coverage. There's even more that we can go into, like the difference between added on and reduced by uninsured motorist and all kinds of stuff. If you don't know what your uninsured motorist coverage is and you look at your policy coverages and it's lower, if you have any questions at all, contact us here at the Roads Group. Contact me. My phone number is listed below and we can go over it together. I would be happy to look over your policy. No strings attached, just to tell you what you have and help you understand it. Thank you so much for watching Ask Woody Wednesday. We'll see you next time.
I don't know.